with Katie Wyndham and Joey Blackwell. I am Mason Smith, and this is Three and Out. Guys, with Bryan Harsin being fired with only weeks away from the Iron Bowl, Katie, starting with you, how do you think that's going to affect Alabama's matchup with its long-standing rival?
Yeah, I mean, I think whether or not Bryan Harsin was going to be the coach of Auburn for the Iron Bowl this year, I don't think it was going to affect what happened on the field that much. If you watch this past Saturday with Alabama on the bye, I didn't watch the whole Auburn-Arkansas game, but it's probably the most I've watched Auburn this season, and they just look dreadful at home, honestly. The offense, I mean, it's just rough. The whole thing, it was rough. And so on the field, they're not a good team. They're not a good product. Honestly, having an interim, Carnell or Cadillac Williams, as most fans know him as, might actually give them like a little bit of boost of inspiration and something to rally around. But currently, they still just have a ton of players fleeting to the portal. So I think, a lot of Auburn fans are comparing this season to the 2012 season where Auburn went 3-9 and then, lost to Alabama 49-0 in the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. And that ended up being the final nail in Gene Chizik's coffin just 2 years after winning a national championship for Auburn. And so Harsin didn't even make it to the Iron Bowl this year. And so I don't think on the field it affects that much. I think the thing it affects the most is just what's going to kind of be the mindset of this Auburn team and this program with the new AD, also with John Cohen coming over from Mississippi State on Monday as well, as they're in the midst of this coaching search and just so many things swirling around. But it should be a big win for Alabama in November, was going to be regardless. But I'm sure Alabama fans will enjoy that after how stress-inducing the Iron Bowl was last season. Joey, what do you think? We've kind of seen some names floated around for this Auburn job too. How does that kind of affect Alabama?
Well, it could potentially affect Alabama in a pretty big way. A couple of the names that are really high and, in the odds markets right now, one of them being Lane Kiffin. Alabama already has to play Lane Kiffin once a year, so that wouldn't change much. But the fact that he'd be in-state across the highway, essentially from Alabama, that would be really big. Another name that would impact Alabama probably even more is Bill O'Brien, Alabama's current offensive coordinator. That's another name that's been throwing around. So both of those can impact Alabama. But, looking at this Bryan Harsin situation, the only thing surprising about his firing was how late it actually happened in the season. I think both Alabama and Auburn fans can agree on that. Everybody's been seeing the writing on the wall for quite some time. It's a program that hasn't obviously been doing well this year at all. Will continue not to do well. I do think that I do agree with you, Katie, and I think Cadillac Williams coming there will actually we'll see a little bit of an uptick just because I think the players will enjoy playing for him more and be more motivated to play under him than they were under Harsin. I mean, every post-game press conference you looked at Harsin, he looked like he wanted to be literally anywhere else in the world except for that podium. But I think Cadillac Williams will bring a new sense of energy to the Tigers, at least for the last few games left in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm predicting a big Alabama win as well. But look for those. Watch Bill O'Brien and Lane Kiffin, and we'll see. I know Auburn fans are really excited about potentially having one of those two guys. So we'll see how it plays out.
I don't know how excited they are about Bill O'Brien, but I think they're
That's
more.
fair.
I think a lot of them are more on the Hugh Freeze. He's got some controversy, or Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders or Lane Kiffin are the two names I'm seeing thrown around the most. Mason, what do you think about that?
Well, Deion Sanders is definitely one of the most high-profile names in college football with what he's done in Jackson State. So I'm really interested to see how tangible those odds and those ideas really become. But you guys have a lot of great points with Lane Kiffin, Bill O'Brien. So a lot of names that are really being thrown around. Of course, like Joey, like you said, with Cadillac Williams, hopefully they can give a little bit of a spark to end the season, but then it'll be even more interesting offseason for the Auburn Tigers to fix their coaching search. But again, this is Katie Wyndham and Joey Blackwell. I'm Mason Smith. This is Three and Out. Thank you so much for watching.